Welcome to One
Welcome to
Minute
1 Minute
Left,
Left,
powered by
powered by
HDR.
HDR.
I'm your host, Remy Fry.
And I am the co-host, Brianna, aka BB Holloway.
Tonight on 1 Minute Left, we're opening a discussion on Tylan Carter, who is a beloved member of HDR. We will be talking about his case, his sentence, and his experience and his redemption.
So tonight, we're going to tell his story.
Before
we jump in, we're going to define some important terms just to give you guys a better understanding of Tylan's case. And I totally took Remy's line. It literally has her name on it.
It's okay. Go ahead.
But
Do
it. So yeah, thank you for the mic, Remy. But so the first definition we have is the 10 to 12 rule. The 10 to 12 rule is a Texas death penalty sentencing rule that applies to the punishment phase of a capital murder trial. So, two factors have to be considered: future dangerousness and mitigation factors. These could be traumatic experiences, age, any mental illnesses, any coercion from any co-defendants or whatever, etc., etc., etc. So to receive a death sentence, 10 jurors must vote yes on the future dangerousness question. In other words, do we believe that the defendant will pose a future danger to society? So 10 jurors have to vote yes on that question.
Mm-hmm.
And to avoid a death sentence, only one juror is needed to vote yes on a mitigation. So if there's a mitigation present, one juror is all that's required to sentence for life. The second definition term that we're going to define is positional asphyxia, aka postural asphyxia. It is a form of asphyxiation or suffocation where a person cannot breathe properly because of the position their body is in, leading to a dangerous shortage of oxygen. It occurs when somebody's body posture restricts the ability of the lungs and chest to expand or blocks the airway, causing them to gradually suffocate. It's important to note that a victim may not appear in distress initially. A victim may not look like they can't breathe, may not experience shortness of breath, whatever, but it is ultimately fatal. But it is a slow type of fatal, like a ongoing type of fatality.
Okay.
So let's jump into it. Section 1, segment 1. We're gonna start talking about Tylan's case. So just to familiarize you guys.
Well, I know one thing that the smothering position, how would he know, when if he did really tie the gentleman up, how will he know by tying him up that the position that he was in would hurt him, would kill him? Because I'm pretty sure if he did just tie him up, he was just tying up while they were stealing something, and then just left him there. But how would he know that would kill him? It's what I want to know.
It's potential that he didn't.
Yeah.
A lot of the times with positional asphyxia, it's no way to know. It's actually even mentioned in some court documents that are freely available on justialaw.com.
Okay.
Very much facts from the court case. The medical examiner revealed that most people probably would not understand the risk of death involved in binding a person in that position. So big words, but what do those words mean? So because the cause of death was ruled to be positional asphyxiation for the victim.
Mm-hmm.
It is evident that there was no intention to murder the victim.
You know, he didn't intend to it.
In cases where someone intends to kill, usually the method is direct, obvious, and obviously clearly intended to cause death. But in this case, even the medical examiner testified and said that there was likely no way that anybody would have known that that position would cause death. It's also important to note that there are a lot of cases, court cases, criminal cases in the United States with law enforcement hurting people and or suffocating people by
Mm-hmm.
way of by way of positional asphyxiation. I don't know if you guys were around during the George Floyd movement, but
Yep.
it was very, very powerful movement that happened. The cause of death for George Floyd was actually positional asphyxiation. And because of that, the officer, I believe, I forget, was he sentenced to? He wasn't sentenced to life. I think he was
No.
sentenced to. I think he got a couple
Um,
years. I think.
I think wasn't it about 10 years?
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they use the argument of positional asphyxiation in cases like with law enforcement, where if a law enforcement officer restrains a person incorrectly, that it could cause death. So this is not something that is unheard of or new, but it is something that is seen frequently in law enforcement and other situations and stuff like that. So moving on to the next point, we're talking about his
The
actual physical
juror.
trial and the
Okay.
role of the jurors and stuff like that. Remy, go ahead and take it away so I can eat my pizza.
I I see in Thailand's case was the role of the jury during the trial. Thailand's defense um it had 10 to 12 rules created uncertain for the jury, and they argued that because the jury was not allowed to know of the rule, the potential was a biased jury decision, which is not good.
So here's the thing with the 10 to 12 rule. A
Mm,
little stipulation slash clause in that rule is that the jurors never really know exactly what it is. Oftentimes, jurors will come forth and they will say that their decision was coerced, their decision was manipulated, or they were confused
that's
and
what
didn't
says they were
fully
confused.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't fully
Mm-hmm.
understand their role as a juror. Um, and even though for Tylon's case, there's no documented evidence that any juror came forth and said that they felt like they were misconstrued. That still doesn't erase the fact that the 10 to 12 rule is pretty. It's I don't think it's reliable if the person or people that are on the jury are not aware of how their voice affects the trial.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a problem because a lot of the
it's
juries
kind of
don't know.
impossible, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
they don't
impossible.
know. That's why they be so confused, because they don't tell them the rules. They just kind of throw them in there, just say, "Hey, this is the trial. This is what the trial's all about," and that's it. And they get in the jury room and they don't realize how they're supposed to, vote and all that. So,
I also as a from a personal perspective or as a personal opinion, I think that it's hard to have lay people that are not, what's the word I'm looking for, that are not experienced with the types of situations, images that are presented in court, things of that nature. A lot of the time, the jurors are swayed by way of emotion because that's the most powerful way to sway or to get an opinion. And I think that if we're going to put jurors in an emotionally vulnerable state, I think it's important that they know the full extent of their argument, and they know that, hey, you guys don't necessarily have to all agree, but you know.
And yeah,
So
that's why I've never wanted to be a juror, because I don't think they don't really explain to you what you need to know. And
I've never ever been summoned to court, believe it or not.
I have, but you know, I was not picked, thank God, because I don't think I would have been a good juror, especially since I don't believe in the death penalty. So I know I wouldn't have been very helped in that court trial, because I knew I would just be like, no, not waving towards that, not at all.
I get that.
So, so now since he's exhausted, of course, all his appeals, you know, what's next? What do we work on now?
So, I mean, right now in Tylon's case, we know that all of his appeals have been exhausted. And so the only thing really right now that we can argue for is clemency. And the purpose of clemency is to stop an execution or to basically forgive a person for their crime. Their sentence is usually commuted and they are moved from death row to life or general population.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, that being in general population is a lot better than being executed. So right now, what we have to do is prepare to ask for the governor's blessing, so to speak, on Tylon's case. Also, not to forget, there were several mitigating factors that trauma, age, drugs, all of those things that we talked about earlier. A lot of those things were left out of Tylon's case. It's evident in the appellate court opinion document. All of the crime facts were listed,
Mm-hmm.
but there were little to no mitigating factors mentioned, which is indicative that that evidence was not properly presented to the jury. So essentially, the jurors just saw Tylon the monster, but they didn't
Yeah.
see Tylon the person, Tylon the Tylon the guy in a relationship, Tylon the guy that committed a crime with other people, Tylon, the father, Tylon. They didn't see
The
that.
grandfather, you know.
The
Well, at that
grandfather.
time he
He
wasn't a
wasn't a
grandfather.
granddad at that time,
At that
but
time he wasn't. Yeah. I
the
mean,
point still stands though that, the jury was painted a picture and they weren't given the entire canvas. They were only given a small section. Very
you
small
know,
section.
Talon, he's a close friend,
He's a
and
sweetheart.
yeah, and I see him as a brother, and when I speak of him, I don't hear a man who gives up. I hear a man who wants to live long enough to prove that his life is worth fighting for. And he always tell me, Remy, I've got so much to give, and I think his case was just not fair. His trial was not fair. It was
I agree.
racial bias. It was just a lot going on, and I think he needs a fair trial. I'm not saying there shouldn't be no accountability. It should be, but to say that he needs to be executed for something, a mistake, just he didn't intend to kill this man. It was just a mistake,
And
and
let's not forget that after the alleged crime, well, not alleged because he was charged, but
mhm,
after the crime, Tylon left.
yeah, exactly.
It's like usually if somebody's intended to be killed, they're usually murdered in that instance. And it's not like, I'll come back or whatever. So I don't really think that Talon intended to hurt that person or kill that person.
No,
I
he didn't.
I don't
No.
I don't I don't think he did.
Mm-mm. He
Also,
didn't.
fun fact to mention, Tylon is the only person from that case that's set to be executed. His co-defendant uh actually got, I believe, 25 years and
Yes, she
eligibility
did.
for parole.
She did. Yep, she did. She did. I mean, but there's no really, there's no real forensic evidence of the homicide, against Tylon. And, and there's no confession of this case. And I don't think that, he, like I said, he got a fair deal. And I don't think that he should be where he's at. And, so I think that they need to relook his trial, relook his case, and he should be going home by now. Because, I mean, she will be. She
That's
will.
true.
She will. She will. I think it was a poor decision in his case, a poor decision on what happened, in his case with the crime, the robbery and everything. But like we said, he didn't intend to kill the man. When he left him alive. He didn't intend to harm him. And so I don't, it's a lot. This case right here is really hurtful because, like I said, Talon is a wonderful man. He's just struggling right now. He's struggling, you know, mentally because he just knows that he shouldn't be where he's at, and he knew he didn't intend to take anyone's life, and he just wants everyone to know who he is. He's not a monster. He's a wonderful person, and he's just fighting, to get a second chance. So I just don't know. So I think that we should really we got a petition out. So I think, we need everyone to sign it so we can get him a second chance or, just start writing into the governor, write into the governor, start calling into the governor, because the governor needs to hear us. He needs this clemency. Tyler needs the clemency. He just needs the second chance. There's too many holes in his trial.
A lot. There are a
Yeah.
lot of discrepancies in his trial, and I really just think that the death penalty for a case like this is grossly over, what's the word? Grossly overcompensating.
Mm-hmm.
Because how is it that the co-defendant only gets however many years, 25 years?
It always happens, though.
You know?
Yeah.
Tylon definitely has some words that he wanted me to share on the podcast. We'll probably get to that in a minute. But
Hmm.
as of right now,
He
there's a lot
deserves to
that
say his words. He's been on death row
he
now for
does.
what, 19 years? So
Yes.
he
Yes.
deserves to say, what he has to say. He's been there,
Absolutely.
a long time and then, when he was close to being executed, I think he was within 4 days of being when they gave him his execution date a few years ago. He was within 4 days of being executed, and now here he is years down the line. He's still there. He's still fighting. So he deserves to say what he has to say. You know, it's just it's really sad. Like we said, we got to support Tylon by sharing his story. We got to support him by, signing the clemency petition. Reaching out to the Texas governor. And join us in spreading the truth and mercy. Write letters, stand for him. Because we can't do it by ourselves. And Tylon needs us. He really do. So what does Tylon got to say?
I'm gonna try to keep this
I
as
mean,
brief, brief, brief and short.
Brief and short and clean.
And
Is it
clean.
and clean? Is it
Yeah.
clean? Brief and short. Is it gonna be clean?
I can try.
Oh Jesus, Thailand.
So
Thailand.
I'm sorry, I'm reading off of my phone. But Tylon wants everybody to know that his favorite singer is Prince.
Okay.
He loves Prince.
Okay.
I made fun of him for it. Anyway, he wanted me to start by talking about his father, who was at one point incarcerated. His father used to write him from prison and would basically tell Tylon that when he was released from prison, that he was going to help Tylon be released from prison.
Mm-hmm.
Tylon says that he was let down because he hasn't heard anything from his father since 2018. And he was very specific about wanting the audience of the podcast to know that.
Mm-hmm.
He also wanted me to share that he's releasing a track on Isley Brothers' Voyage to Atlantis. I'm making the beat for him, so he wants y'all to know that he's
Okay.
doing.
Oh,
He
good
wants
old
me.
Thailand.
He just wants me to just say that. He also wants me to say that his family let him down, and he is very hurt by his family, and he does not believe that his case is a capital murder case, and he feels that a lot of people have overlooked him and have basically abandoned him to fight this fight on his own. He goes on to say a lot of other things, which are more like, I think, should be a more like private thing, so I won't say everything. But
Yeah.
he definitely did want me to emphasize that his family abandoned him and that he is very hurt by that. And which brings me to my next point, family is super duper important.
Yeah, they are, especially where he's at.
A support system in general is very important. And when you don't have family, especially like if you're on death row or whatever, it makes your time there all the more difficult. I mean, waking up every day, not knowing if you're going to die, not knowing if you're going to get a date. And then on top of that, your family making false promises to you, your family, saying that they want to help you and then not helping you, or, your family stringing you along. All of that is very, very stressful. And it just keeps the person in survival mode. And it's like they're already going through the worst of the worst by being on death row. I think it's the family's responsibility to, if they're not able to support the person physically, I think that it's important that they explain. Communication is key.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't hurt to say, hey, I don't think I can help you right now. It doesn't hurt to say that.
Yeah, and they don't understand that, and that's when we have to step in to try to
Yeah.
support them as HDR. That's when we have to step in and try to, do this podcast right now to support him. We started a petition tonight to support him. We're encouraging people, like literally like an hour ago.
Literally like maybe an hour ago.
We started a petition to support him because he's not getting that support. And
And it
so,
looks great, and you guys should
yes,
go and sign it. And the link is
please.
on our Facebook page, and we need 5,000 possibly signatures. So share it with your
Share
grandma,
it,
and
please.
share it with your
Not the
granddad,
grandma, not the
and
granddad. Oh
share
my
it with your
gosh.
cat, and whoever else can sign a petition. Mr. Meow
Yes,
Meow, we need his signature.
we need it
We need
because
it.
Like I said, Tylen's been in there too long, and he needs our support. If he's not getting support of his family, he feels like he's being let down, and to be where he's at in a dark place. He went through the court trial. He got convicted of capital murder. He was put in a dark cell. Then you're there, you're alone, you feel like nobody's there to support you, you're fighting, then you get an execution date, you barely make it, and then you make it, and then you're back in the same spot, in the same dark spot. And your family's still not there to help you, and then you're still fighting, and you never know when you're going to get a date again. So he needs our support. It doesn't take that long to sign this petition. It doesn't take that, it's not that hard to just share his story, to speak up for him, to support him, to be there for him, whether you write a letter to him, because he needs that. Whether you put some stamps buy him some stamps, whether you put some money on his tablet, just to show that you're there, just to show that you support him. But most of all, share a story. Share a story, because if people don't share a story and they don't hear a story, then he won't get that petition signed, and he won't get the help that he needs, because he's not saying that he shouldn't, have paid for what he's doing, but it shouldn't be a death sentence. It shouldn't be a capital murder sentence. They came out years later, and said that his case was not a capital murder. They came out years later and said that he didn't intend to kill this person, that, they feel like this person may have died of natural causes. So there's just too many holes in this case. So we can't allow someone to get executed when there's too many holes in the case. Nobody should get executed, period. But his case is not a capital murder case. There's too many men and women on death row who, are serving a death sentence, and their cases are really not even capital murder cases. So,
And we forget that the death penalty is a very permanent thing. You can't unexecute somebody.
No.
And I think that in Tylan's case, where we have such discrepancy and uncertainty, I just think that it would be a big fault on the American justice system if they carry through an execution that we're not even for sure how the person died.
No, because the prosecutor told the jury that it was suffocation, that was the cause of death. But the medical evidence since has made that questionable. So, how can you execute somebody when, everything's been questionable? When, the prosecutor has painted a different thing, and it's actually, we don't even know really what happened. So you can't reverse it. If you execute this man, you can't reverse it. You can't say, "Oh, we made a mistake. Let's bring you back." You can't. So, like I said, this is not a capital murder case, and I think that Tylen's still here for a reason, and so he got past that first execution, and he's here, and so now we got to keep fighting for him. Now it's time to stand up. We can't keep talking. We got to walk the walk. We got to do it. We got to stand up for him. We can't keep saying, "Oh, Tylen needs us." We got to fight. We got to fight for him. Everyone who loves him. If you're his family, if you're his friends, he needs you. It's sad that he said his family is letting him down. Family, death row is a horrible place to be at. And when somebody just abandons you there and just leaves you there, it's a lot. It's a lot. We've seen too many men, and I'm just gonna say men because I've never seen women. Too many men on death row commit suicide. They commit suicide because they don't have the family support. They commit suicide because they're just mentally going through a lot. They're mentally, ill. So this is serious. Being on death row, being away from your loved ones, and then they're not supporting you, being away from your kids, and not having the support, not having your pills, all your pills have been exhausted, and now you don't know when they might give you a date again. This is crunch time. We're fighting for Tylen. This is crunch time now because
And
I
we're
hate
doing it
waiting for
early.
execution day. I hate waiting for us to that we get them 90 days. Let's stop waiting till them 90 days. We got to start fighting now to keep from getting those 90 days. Let's fight now for clemency to get him off death row. And because it's hard to get somebody off death row. So don't wait until the end. Do it now.
We can't procrastinate on a project that
Mm-hmm.
is so important and
Mm-hmm.
is could potentially be life-saving. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to wait until he's on death watch to plead for his life. You
Yeah.
know?
And when they're on death watch, that's a lot to deal with, because they're on death watch. They take away everything. They're on a camera 24/7. Somebody's just constantly watching you on the camera. I mean, they watch you use the restroom. They watch you eat. They watch you do everything. That camera's just sitting there, and because they want to make sure that you don't take your life before they can take it. And in some prisons, they strip you down. You're just in there with your boxers on and nothing else. Yeah. So, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. So, you know, we don't want no Thailand or no one else to go through that. And Thailand is very important to HDR. He's very important. I'm always writing him. You're always writing him, you know, and he's holds a special place in my heart. And I can't bear for him to go through something like that. So now it's we got to do something. We got to do something. That's why we
The
start this
time is
petition
now.
for him, because he's got to get home to his kids, his grandkids. And even if he has to serve a life sentence, at least they can go up there and continue to see him. At least that he can watch his kids continue to grow and his grandkids grow and his great grandkids grow. You know, what he did was nothing. He didn't intend to hurt nobody. He didn't intend to harm nobody. He didn't intend to take someone's life. And his past shouldn't define his future. His past shouldn't take his life. He shouldn't have a death sentence over his life for something that he didn't intend to do. And it's sad. So, I'm praying for him every day. I pray for the victim's family. I pray for, that the Governor Abbott will, see this and, see the petition and he will have a change of heart. Ken Paxton, the district attorney, is the death penalty is not it. It's not. It's not it. And it's just not. And
We're
especially when you got
making
people like
permanent
Tylon.
decisions.
Yeah. Tylon is
Permanent
not a monster.
decisions.
Yeah. He's a wonderful man. He is not a monster. I was on the mic with them tonight laughing, laughing. They just, and, him always checking on me and just seeing how I'm doing. And that's not a monster. That's a wonderful young man. That's a human being who has a lot of compassion to be checking on someone and he's in a dark place. So, yeah,
And
that's the reason why.
he definitely needs you guys more than he needs us to.
Yeah.
But he definitely needs you guys to put in the work, sign the petition, share, like, comment,
Mhm.
engage, spread the word. There's power in prayer and there's power in numbers. And if we're doing both of those things and we're praying on Tylon's behalf and we're also speaking on his behalf and we're advocating for him,
Mhm.
I have no doubt that the Lord will move for Tylon and that he will not be executed. But we have to put in the work. We can't just wait until the 90-day ticking
Mhm.
clock.
Mhm.
We have to start early, be proactive early, get the signatures early. So on behalf of HDR, if y'all could just do us a huge, huge favor and share the link to the petition. The petition is on our Facebook page. Y'all can go check it out from there. If you guys could also like, comment, share anything, any videos about Tylon that we're going to start posting, any posts about Tylon, even calling the governor, writing letters, uh things of that nature. All of those things are very, very helpful. We want to build a case for the clemency board to grant Tylon's clemency.
Hmm.
So we cannot do that with just me and Remy. We need the HDR family, the 1 minute left family, to come together so that we can get Tylon out of the gulag. Got to
Hmm.
get him out of there.
Yes. Without saying, please keep him in prayers and please keep his children in prayers, his grandchildren in prayers, and let's, let's get this going. The fight starts now. The fight starts now. Today. Today. Not tomorrow, not 90 days, not next year. Because like we say, 2026 is around the corner and we don't need to get no more execution dates for anyone else. Because we got 3 and it's probably more to come. So let's start now. Let's start today. Let's start fighting for Tylon Carter. He needs us. And just continue, like I said, pray. Continue to like, follow HDR, like and follow our podcast. Like and follow
Donations.
yes, and yes, because like we said, we put stamps on their, tablets. We try to put, money if we can so they can watch their wonderful movies and get their wonderful music. So, please support us because, you know, like I said, I'm a pre-K teacher, so I do a lot. Brianna's been a blessing, starting to help me a little. I mean, I'm greatly appreciated because whew, before she started helping me, I was doing it completely by myself. So, please, if you can donate, whether it's 5, 10, 20, everything helps. Everything helps. Anything helps because, like I said, they need it because
That
they're
money
all, yeah,
doesn't go to us.
no, it goes straight to them. I
Straight to
always
them.
buy their e-com. I always put money on their commissary. I put money on the book so they can get commissary. So everything that I get, it goes straight to them. Or either we're boosting stuff to help, boost out HGR so we can help get, things going and get people aware of what we're doing and aware of the death penalty and how we need to fight against it and abolish it. So please continue to, you know, support us. We're at 501 and happy 501 followers. That's a lot on Facebook for us. 314 Instagram. So let's keep it going. We love you guys all. God bless you guys. Remember, it's never too late to save a life. And thank you for
Never,
joining
never,
us
never.
at 1 minute left, powered by HDR.
HDR.
And please, if you can, write Tylon Secures Texas. I know he would love to hear from you guys. Tylon Carter, uh, Texas criminal justice writer. I know he would love that.
He
Thank you.
responds so fast, super
He do.
responsive.
He do.
Also, um, this podcast is going out on Thanksgiving. So thank you
Yes.
guys. We're so
Thank
thankful
you.
for everybody on HDR. And we're so
Thankful.
thankful for all of our members. We're so
Yes.
thankful for everything that y'all do, everything that y'all help us with, all the sharing, liking, comments, all of that fun stuff helps us get the word out, helps us save lives, helps us with opportunities, interactions, collaborations, things of that nature. So we're very thankful for that. We're thankful for our
Yes.
collaborators. They are so super supportive of us. And we're
Yes.
thankful, obviously, for life, love, all of that fun stuff. So happy
Yes.
Thanksgiving to anybody who's watching on Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much turkey because you'll get sick. And
Thank you.
that's time. Cut.
Yes. Thank you. God bless you guys all. And good night. Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you
Good night.
guys. Good
Thank you. Bye.
night.